Coming up, we are going over the first drop of Ironheart. 3 episodes. It's a super quick recap. This is the Sacred Rewatch. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Illuminati Takeover of the Sacred Rewatch, brought to you by Effortless Expeditions. If you don't know what that is, go check out our other episodes and you learn much more about them. Just want to get right into it. Today, I'm joined by our resident philosopher, Brody. It's just me and him today. Brody, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
You ready to talk about some Ironheart?
Absolutely.
Well, we're not scoring this. We're just chatting. So, what is your first thing that comes to your head after these first 3 episodes of Ironheart?
So, I really enjoyed him, to be honest. I think the first episode, I think the reason they dropped it in 3 is like really getting out of the first one. You're just introduced to the characters. If that was the end of it, you would not be hooked at all. But getting towards the second episode, you start to see the scale of the action sequences and stuff they can do. And the third one does the same thing. So, and it has really great twists and stuff in that third episode.
Mm-hmm. What I thought about when I was watching it, and maybe I thought about it a little bit too much while I was watching it, is why did they decide to do this 3 episodes at a time? Like that, I talked about it last episode, but it really bugged me, right, that they decided to do it, because I just love weekly drops so much. And I still can't really figure it out. I think the third episode had a really good cliffhanger, so I kind of understand why they did it then.
Yeah.
But I think episode 1 totally could have been a cliffhanger, right? I thought that would have been a great introduction, because I think that was right when they introduced Natalie, right?
Yes. The AI. Yeah.
So, that's just kind of my thoughts. What are your thoughts on AI? I didn't really think AI was going to be a part of this.
I thought it was cool. I thought I couldn't recognize the voice actor for the school AI. I think his name was Trevor that was in her suit. The voice sounded super familiar, but I couldn't place who it was, and I didn't check. But I thought it was good. It's not to the point of like self-parody. Like it didn't push too far for me. Like it was asking good questions about like if you could recreate people that have passed. Like, what would that do to someone? And you see different characters' connections with that in the family. So I thought it was interesting without focusing too much on it.
How would you personally take that?
How would I personally take what?
Having an AI, like, friend or somebody you knew that passed that's fully there, but just not physical. I feel like I wouldn't take it very well.
No. It's a very difficult thing. Because like once you know you could do it, obviously there's an interest there because it's either that or nothing. But her rejection in the show of it makes complete sense, and I think that's how most people would react.
Yeah. But well, let's talk about how they kind of introduced Riri. It was kind of point blank. Like she did this little summary, like I was in Wakanda forever. She obviously didn't say that, right? Like, you know. Like
the internship.
Basically what they said, and there was no like new clips. It was basically just little pieces of the movie, and then they kind of just go from there. What were your thoughts on that?
I was really interested in how they were going to handle that because obviously they weren't going to have like the first suit being built because we already saw that. This takes place after that. It did raise a few questions. I don't know why Wakanda wouldn't pay for her research and stuff. I thought that was the whole deal at the end of it. At the end of Wakanda Forever.
That's how you interpreted it? Because I thought at the end of Wakanda Forever they said that no, she has to keep the suit there.
Oh, true. They did clarify that I forgot that. But I don't know. It was cool. It was cool seeing her like hustling for the money and stuff and like getting in trouble because of that. It reminded me a lot of Miss Marvel. Miss Marvel, she's getting in less trouble because she's not at this school level. But it did make it interesting where I'm already like thinking about how they're going to have these characters interacting going forward.
Well, and as small as it was, you know, we saw her selling homework to other students in Wakanda Forever. That was kind of how we got introduced to her. Yeah. And to see something as small as that be tied into the show and the reason, you know, she decides to go make money elsewhere because she's not in school anymore and she's trying to figure out what to do with her life. Like, as something as small as that, I really appreciated that.
Yeah, it tied in really well, I think.
What else are
Oh,
your thoughts? We
we had the
there's a lot
dean.
to take in.
Have you
Huh?
seen Community? Do you watch Community?
No.
So the dean in Community is the same as the dean in her school. I think it was the dean, the the guy with the glasses that's
He
like
looked
kicking around.
familiar. I was trying to
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure it out, but I
He's in
couldn't
tons
figure
of
her name.
stuff though, but when I saw him I was like that's funny. Just like
Mm.
he's just the normal like community college kind of
Is
dude.
is Community with Donald Glover?
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mm.
absolutely.
Um, Anthony Ramos, Hamilton. What are your thoughts?
What?
Anthony Ramos, your thoughts?
Who's
It's the guy that plays the hood.
Oh. Is he in Hamilton?
Yeah, that's where I know him from.
I haven't watched Hamilton. They
Oh,
they
you're missing out, man.
they pushed it on Disney Plus for a long time when it came out, but
Dude,
I
that's
never
that's
sat
a
down and watched it.
that's a big reason of why I picked Liberty Square for the e-ticket talk. Be sure to go check
Oh,
that out.
dude, my idea is killer. Once I thought of one, I was in a corner. Once I thought of one, it's perfect, dude.
All right. Well,
But
back to
anyway,
Ironheart. What are your thoughts on the hood?
I was not familiar with the character
Mhm.
previously, so I was really thrown for a loop. At first, it was like I thought it was kind of corny that he's just walking around wearing the hood. Thought it was pretty funny looking, but I don't know. Over the course of the episodes, like I think the whole group that he's with and him really grew on
Mhm.
me. At first, they weren't that interesting to me, but that's why I
Mhm.
think they did the 3 episode drop. If it was just the first arc, and you just got like Eric Andre thrown in there, and you got these characters that are funny and stuff, it would have
Yeah.
been okay. But you need to really see how they change and how they know each other. So I understand the 3 episode drop for growing those characters because otherwise they're just basic street level villains.
That Eric Andre cameo very much seemed like Eric Andre approached Marvel and was like, "Find me a
Right.
project to be in."
That is what it
And they're
seemed
like, "You
like.
can have this little role," and it was like set up perfectly too, because of course he's the guy that
Yeah.
gets murdered. You know?
Well, dude, the first shot was so funny because it was just a silhouette, and instantly I'm like, is that Eric Andre? Like, like right
That's
away.
also what I thought. And then he was also kind of in the shadows. So then I was like, "Is it? I can't
Yeah,
tell."
it was like through the wires. But that's the other
Hmm.
thing, is in this show, it had some pretty good camera angles. Like for
Hmm.
TV, it had some really cool like crane shots when they're leaving the shops and stuff. The lighting was actually interesting. It's not like all the backlighting stuff. They always have a spot. They're blasting light through the windows of the apartments. So the lighting and the camera work was actually really interesting to me, and especially with the fight scenes. The first one
Yeah.
was kind of basic for the robbery, but when you get into episodes 2 and 3, they had some really good coordination and also editing,
Yeah.
cutting between
And
her flying.
I know Ryan Coogler wasn't a director on any of these episodes, but he was a producer, right?
Executive producer.
Executive producer.
Yeah. So I think that's why so much stuff from Wakanda Forever tied in so well.
Well, I think visually too, why it looks so well, maybe from a CGI perspective and lighting,
Hmm.
is because I think I have no data to back this up, but I think this show sat on the shelf longer than any Disney Plus show we've had. So from the moment that they finished with the show, I mean, I think they've been. Don't quote me on this, but I think they've been done with the show like for over a year now.
Really? I mean,
Yeah,
I'd believe it.
I think they just didn't know when to drop it because
Yeah.
it just seems right now like a kind of a random time to drop this show, doesn't it?
Uh, I think it wasn't a bad time too.
I don't think it's a bad
The
time
main
either.
problem was, I think the promotional. I think the promotional could have
Mhm.
been better. I mean, this isn't a character that you can't create hype for.
Mhm.
Uh, there's just a lot of public problems with the audience. You know what I mean? Like they were already having review bombing and stuff. But overall, I don't think it was a terrible time because it is kind of more action based than shows like Miss Marvel and stuff. So I think
Yeah.
it is kind of building towards the new movies and stuff more.
Well, and I think that's interesting about when they decided to drop it was I think it was completely because before Thunderbolts, Deadpool and Wolverine had come out. It was a big success, but there was no, even though it's in the MCU, it didn't really feel like it was in the MCU. So everybody was like, well, I don't know how this, next couple MCU movies, like, what is the Thunderbolts, right? And
Yeah.
the Thunderbolts hits, not financially. It actually did not well in the box office at all, which I didn't really understand. But it's a fantastic movie, right? And they're like, well, I think they can confidently say Fantastic Four is going to be good. So let's put this in the middle, right? And then we're just going to ride the wave.
Yeah, and I think that's also why they weren't advertising it as much. Because if this did out of nowhere do really good, all it does is promote Fantastic Four more. That does well. If this was not doing so good with audiences and it was getting bad reviews right around Fantastic Four, that would be getting more like bad attention, pretty much.
Yeah.
But I don't know. This was interesting though. Like I said, going from her showing up in a movie to this, because Miss Marvel kind of did the opposite, where she was in the show and then in the Marvels. So this was like a flip of going movie to show. But
Yeah.
I thought it was handled pretty well. For as much stuff is like, oh, you need to watch this to watch this, you need to watch this to watch this. I think you could not watch Wakanda Forever and completely understand. Because like you're saying, it does like a really solid recap. Without
Well, yeah,
just,
that's
like,
when she was.
playing the whole
That was when she was introduced, and they covered that within the first 2 minutes of the show starting.
Exactly.
So-
And I thought it was going to be narration the whole way through with the show, but they just make it so it's a conversation with the people she's in trouble with.
Yeah,
So it was just a good one-time character introduction. But
yeah.
her
And
suit's
most
like
of the time,
completely new, right?
yeah.
And the start
And
of this,
it's not vibranium based, and I think
Yeah.
you can also, which I love, it's not nanotech, and there's no right in story of why it needs to be nanotech, so it's very mechanic-y, you know, and it's very much like old Iron Man, but also
Yeah,
new at
dude.
the same time, you know.
Yeah. Those shots though of just the suit just sitting there, just like with the arms open up and stuff.
Yeah,
Like those, it's like a freeze frame from Iron Man 2 when he's on the racetrack. Like if you were to
Yeah.
just freeze that suit and be like, okay, we can't make it come out of a suitcase, but she just like steps into it, and it's pretty cool. Like for a TV
or even
show,
in that last episode when she's like laying on the ground dying,
Yeah.
and the suit like comes over and opens up and just like falls around her. It was pretty sick.
yeah, I think the design is way sleeker. The face is way more angular than in Wakanda Forever, and that was also bright colors. When they start this, they're kind of getting into like the whites. And there's a little bit of like navy blue. It kind of reminds me of the like Ultron suits that Tony had. That's like the white,
Yeah.
gold, and blue. But that's the other
Yeah.
thing. Is this? It's doing really well at balancing so far. I think references to Tony Stark and his story while making it very unique and different. You know what I mean? Like when Tony loses his suit, the whole problem is he can't go anywhere. He can't do anything. But like, if he had his money, he could. You know what I mean? But this, when the suit crashes and she can't use the school stuff, you realize like how stuck she is. So I thought it was a cool parallel to when he loses his suit, but in a completely different way of like, what are you gonna do? Like, you go home. You know what I mean? But they do lots of good stuff. And like, some people think that Tony Stark's just a rich dude. Some people think he's like a super big hero. You get that dude talking on the street about how he's not here to save us anymore and stuff.
Yeah.
And at some times it feels like, okay, like we've been through the Tony Stark dead thing since the second Spider-Man movie. So like it has been a long running thing. But it makes sense. I mean, overall he is a prominent character. I think if this show would have came out earlier, it wouldn't have felt as out of place. You know what I mean? Because it would have been closer to when that happened.
Yeah.
But now we're looking at like 6 years since that, so
Damn.
yeah,
That's crazy.
right?
Let's talk about the story a little bit. There's two kind of things I want to talk about before we close it off. This is going to be a little bit of a shorter episode, but the first thing is, what are your thoughts on the Obadiah Stane tie-in?
Okay, so I'm gonna back up just a little bit. I'm gonna back
Solo
up just a little
shout
bit.
out.
Okay, I am the biggest Solo fan in the world. Like Solo That's my movie. Okay? I remember when this casting was coming out, but like you said, this has been just stored away for a while. So I had completely forgotten about the cast list. So through the first episode, I'm like, this is great. Second episode, this dude gets out of his car and is arguing with his neighbor. And he's got this big hair. And then I hear him talk a little bit. And audibly, with the people I'm watching with, I just was like, blah, 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 blah. My cat just opened my door. But anyway, I started freaking out. And I was like, oh my goodness, that's Alden Ehrenreich. Because I am a huge Alden Ehrenreich fan, huge Solo fan. And like all the memories of like when I freaked out when he got cast in this just started coming back. And I was like, that's Han Solo! Oh my, he's such a good actor. He was in Oppenheimer. Oh my gosh. You know what I mean?
Wait, he was in Oppenheimer?
Yeah, he's the guy that does the Kennedy name drop at the end of the movie with RDJ. So he's already acted with Iron Man. How cool is that? So anyway, I was freaking out. And it was like right when I was getting bored. Because like the first episode was over. The characters hadn't been fleshed out. I was just getting bored. And then boom. Second episode was like huge kickoff for the show for me. And that might be another reason why they released him like that. Because Alden Ehrenreich is pretty well known, I would say. Like not like super well known, but he is a pretty recognizable actor, at least in Disney's world.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like wondering about who his father is, how he knows all this technology and stuff. And when that popped up and it was like Obadiah, I didn't place it at first. But like the second like his reaction was going, I was like, Tony Stark was able to build this in the cave. You know what I mean? Like this is that kid, and it was super cool. I thought it was a great connection back to the first movie, which is like rare. Like this far along, we're gonna go back to 2008 and be like, this is a kid from that dude in that movie. You know what I mean?
17 years ago.
That's crazy, dude.
Actually, that's two projects that have come out this year that have relates to 2008. Captain America related heavily to The Incredible Hulk.
That is true. I forgot that came out this year. I thought that came out last year for some reason. But
no, I think that came out in like February.
But yeah, no, his reaction and stuff, and when she finds out, because like you're really confused why he's not working on this stuff. You know what I mean? And then he kind of starts getting back into it tons. But the realization of like, and you get the explanation that there was a cover-up story about how Obadiah died. Because she shows him on the phone. And he's like, that's not true. People made that up. Look at this cat, dude. What is this cat doing? But yeah, it was cool because I don't think we knew about the cover-up story, right? Like, I guess does S.H.I.E.L.D. show up at the end? Who shows up at the end of Iron Man? Is it just the government shows up?
No, I think it's just the government.
Yeah.
No, it is S.H.I.E.L.D.
Is it? Probably.
No, I can't remember.
If it's the government, it was probably S.H.I.E.L.D. undercover.
Well, do you think Riri and Zeke, is that his name?
I just called him Alden Ehrenreich. I called him Han Solo. Dude.
I think his name is Zeke.
Probably. I genuinely don't remember at all.
Well, do you think their relationship's gonna, do you think they're gonna keep building it or no?
They're gonna keep building it, but it's about to hit like a downturn because she lost that piece that can be tracked back to him. And he was already trying to blackmail her. Not like super serious, but I think now it's gonna get really serious with him getting caught.
Yeah. My last question. Is Mephisto confirmed?
Dude, I was watching this, checked the cast list, and it said Sacha Baron Cohen as Mephisto. And I was
did it really?
But it's not real. It's the Google cast list thing.
Whoa.
Like, that's what I'm saying.
You meant on the credits.
No, like, Mephisto has been in those fake, like, cast lists since WandaVision. Like, just on Google. Because so many people talk about it that just pops up. It's like, it's played by this guy. But
Well, I've already made the thumbnail, and Sacha Baron Cohen is
did you
Mephisto in the
actually?
thumbnail.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Okay. uh, but I don't I don't know enough about Mephisto. It kind of seems like a weird point to bring him in because you're already
Yeah.
using your Galactus card and you're using your Doctor Doom card, and there's only
They
so
use the
much.
Kang card.
They use the Kang card, and there's only so much. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty you can do, but there's hype about Mephisto right now. Uh, so if that were to build up over again the next, it'd probably be 15 years knowing the MCU. But if they saved it, then I don't know.
I just feel like the Mephisto hype, it came and it went, and now they're doing it like 3 years too late, you know?
Right. Um, but I think it
Even
was just
even
a caught off
Agatha
guard
all
thing.
along, I thought, oh, Mephisto's coming. You know?
Really?
He didn't come.
Well, I think they just didn't expect it. Like, I don't
Yeah.
think they were expecting in WandaVision people to be like, oh, maybe it's Mephisto, because there was fun mystery in that show and fun
Mhm.
speculation, but nothing was directly saying Mephisto. And then Loki had the same thing with who's messing with the timeline in the beginning, and the kids talking
Yeah.
about it, and it's got the picture on the wall.
Mhm.
Uh, so I think they just weren't expecting it. Uh, but I would save the card if I was them. I wouldn't put
Yeah.
it in a TV show like this. And because I don't think it would make sense. Because if he were brought up in the conflict, I couldn't see Ironheart fighting Mephisto. I think that's much more of a Doctor Strange movie kind of thing.
Well, what I am interested to see, this is probably my last thought before we end it. I did see in one of the trailers, maybe not recently, but maybe a month ago, was there's a clip that we'll probably, I'm assuming we'll see in the next 3 episodes, unless it's a, a jump fake, is that you see Riri Williams inside her suit have magic, like going around in her helmet.
Oh,
Um,
but wouldn't
so, because I
couldn't
think
that
that's
be
the
from
only
the
way to.
piece of the cape?
Huh?
That could be from the piece of the cape, though,
Oh, it could. You're right. You're right.
right? If she uses that
I don't know.
technology,
I just feel like they're going to introduce Mephisto, and then his journey is going to come to the end before this
or is he
season
just
even
gonna be
ends.
a end credit?
Mm,
You think he's just gonna be an
maybe.
end credit, and then they're just gonna leave it up in the air for the future?
Maybe. I'll be interested to see what happens in the next 3 episodes.
I will
Um,
say, how did
which
you feel
I
about the third episode?
I loved it. I thought it was good. It
I thought the
was
third
my favorite
episode was
episode.
awesome. The scale, that's
Yeah.
the other thing, is the sets in the show. It's changing the
Uh-huh.
location, like where you are, like every 5 minutes. So it does not
Yeah.
get boring. Like it is like, oh, now you're at the shop, now you're at the, you know what I mean? And it balances that really well. Like even when people are talking, it's like, okay, they're walking to go do this. They're driving to go do this. And it's not
Uh-huh.
just like people just sitting down and talking like boring. You know what I mean? Uh but yeah, the third episode, like the scale of the sets and the greenhouses, and obviously there's 5 of the same greenhouses, so they could just reuse the same
Uh-huh.
one. So it was a great idea.
Yeah.
But like again, I think the editing in the show is amazing. With the way
Yeah.
that they cut between the people doing the heist and her flying in the suit, it's just enough to make you not realize that the set that they're heisting on is a TV set and they can't walk
Yeah.
that far. And they cut it with the CGI stuff just enough for you to not realize that it's TV CGI level. But it's really incredible CGI. I would say for a TV show, this is like insane.
It's probably the best we've gotten.
Dude, I couldn't think of a scene where the CGI took me out of it at all.
No. I was pretty detailed about it too, like looking into it pretty heavily, and not one.
Yeah. And like they always have like stuff she's flying by, like go flying, or the water shoots up. They're always keeping it like something to keep you physically grounded with it. So, but yeah, that final fight or that final greenhouse thing was
Uh-huh.
insane. And this is
Yeah.
fully spoiler, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Dude,
Spoiler free, or
at
spoiler
the end,
heavy.
there was not a thought in my mind that she is gonna leave the dude to die
Yeah, I didn't think
at
so
all.
either.
I was like, okay, she's in the she's in the suit. She's taking a little bit to get the oxygen in. She should probably get this dude out of here. And then she just leaves. and it makes sense because she got caught. But like, it was a crazy twist because in the second episode, she's like so scared when that cop's like up against her. You know what I mean? Like about to like shoot, and it's like that arc from the second episode to the third episode, where she's like having to do this crazy stuff.
Yeah,
it was just crazy. Like because you're going, this is going to be someone that's working with the Avengers and stuff. Obviously, we have some shady people around. You know what I mean? Like we have assassins and stuff, and Hawkeye and stuff, who are all doing secret missions, sketchy stuff. But it was just crazy to be like, oh, in the Young Avengers, she just straight up is murdering people.
Well, I think we're going to find out very soon, if you didn't know already, that she's not in the right crowd right now. So I'll be interested to see where the show goes. I want you, before we get off, I want you to make one bold prediction on what you think is going to happen at the end of the show. Because when we get back, we'll do another recap for the second drop. But what is your one bold prediction?
At the end of the show, guaranteed Miss Marvel recruits her onto the team. There's no doubt in my mind that Miss Marvel is not going to do the same thing she did with Hawkeye and show up and try to get her on the team that she's putting together. Because, again, this would have came out earlier, and it would have been around that time. So, I don't know what yours would be.
I think my bold prediction is that she's going to have the technology, but she's also going to be a magic wielder by the end of the show.
Is that part of the thing with her character? I don't know anything about the comic.
I don't know much about Riri Williams. I was never under the assumption that she was a magic wielder.
Oh, gotcha.
Maybe not heavily. Maybe in one of those limited release runs they had her as a magic wielder, but
it would be
that's my prediction. I think there's got to be a pretty heavy tie-in, I think, to Doomsday.
Yeah, I think absolutely. I think very similar to the Fantastic Four post-credit scene. I think it'll be something directly leading into it. What was your favorite scene in the 3 episodes, though? I did want to ask.
My favorite scene. Probably, this is maybe more out of curiosity, but when the Hood was like, I think this was the beginning of episode 3. He's like leaning over in his room, and you can see like what's happening with his back. And I just thought it was like a very symmetrical scene, but also like asymmetrical, because I was trying to figure out what was going on with his tattoos.
Is it the one where it was all like bleeding out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I was just more curious about it. I just thought it was a very visually appealing shot.
I was so in the dark. I didn't know who this character was. I was like, this can't be the Lizard. Like, the Lizard's a scientist.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, where are they going with because they said scales and stuff like that too, I think.
Oh, so, did they?
I thought so. I might be wrong. But my favorite scene, it's got to be when they're singing in the car. Because it cuts back after a very serious conversation. And they're singing, like, in the car. And again, I'm thinking Solo. I'm like, this is so how he would sing while he's flying the Millennium Falcon. You know what I mean? Like, while he's driving. And then at the end of the episode, they brought the song back. So I just thought that scene was really funny, dude.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Well, we'll see each other in a week. We're going to be covering the second drop. That's going to do it for this episode of the Illuminati Takeover of the Sacred Rewatch. We hope you enjoyed diving back into the timeline with us. New recap episodes coming out every week leading up to Avengers Doomsday. We are watching the entire MCU plus more Fox X-Men, Fox Fantastic Four, Sony Spider-Man movies, everything that you can think of, wherever you are in the multiverse. Thanks for making the Sacred Rewatch part of your journey. See you guys.